Peace, greetings. Neighborhood niggas checking in, good in the hood. And today I want to talk to you all about how our childhood parent dynamic affects us subconsciously and consciously. All right. So with that being said, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and let's jump right in. The thing is that as we're developing from our childhood, adolescenthood, teenage years, there are key points within our life where there are moments of downloading happening, and that happens from our whole environment. So it's not limited to just our surroundings as far as like, where you live at geographically, but it's also the inner environment, the home. That actually is the main point of learning for children, because they spend a lot of their time at home, outside of traditional schooling, especially if they're homeschooled, right? So what happens when you have a family dynamic that doesn't consist of a father and a mother? Well, I'll tell you what happens. Basically, you're only getting and operating from one side of the spectrum. So let's think about it as not from a dualistic standpoint, but from a non-dualistic standpoint. So from a holistic version. Being raised by just the mothers, statistically, that has been an issue within the quote unquote Black community. But it's not limited to them, But when you are raised as a man, raised in a household where you don't have any type of male influence or development, you're basically learning how to become a man through the woman. And although each and every being here has both masculine and feminine traits within, it doesn't reverberate externally for each being. So there's limits to the amount or the type of things that you can teach, because biologically we are different. Okay? So biologically, a man has a phallus, a woman has, a yoni, right? And these are obvious conceptions, right? However, it goes so much deeper, because when we are in these situations where we are raised by one parent, because it's unbalanced in that state. So I can only talk based on my experiences. So for example, I would date women, right? And I would, as I'm dating them, or it wasn't really even dating, I guess you would call it dating. But as I was dating them, I would notice different things. Now, I was raised in a household where I had both my parents, thankfully. And my father has taught me a lot of valuable lessons as like being a man. As I stated in a previous video, I was brought up to cook for myself in middle school, like 6th grade. I would have to wake up at 7 a.m. before I get on a bus and watch the news and see what the weather is gonna be like, so I can dress and be prepared. I would have to, my father would travel, I would have to make sure I'm watching over my sister. I'm very vigilant over my mother. There's this protection aspect that I was brought up to have. And a lot of times these things are innately within men, but sometimes they're expressed differently because you're learning from a developed masculine role model as opposed to learning from a woman. So although there was balance where my dad would travel often, so I would just be left alone with my mother and my sister, I would still learn the aspects of, tapping into the nurturing side of things and holding space and being empathetic, and that created a holistic expression for me. So that way now I'm able to operate in harmony with both sides of my expression, correct? So The thing is that I've noticed there has been a lot of issues transpiring, and this is the year of the dragon, right? So there are going to be a lot of revelations. There's a lot of karmic debt coming to fruition, especially with Pisces and Saturn, right? So Saturn, that celestial being someone of, when you think of Saturn, you think of judges, robes, the black, the ring. A lot of times people say it restricts, but it's basically more so a frequency of discipline. The Saturnal vibes are like a fatherly figure. A lot of times, especially in modern society, they look at it more so as a masculine, although it does have its feminine principle, because like everything is, it's all one, right? But at one point people looked at it as feminine. It just depends on the state of our society, whether it being patriarch or matriarch. So basically, with the Saturnal energy in Pisces, Pisces likes to be free. Pisces likes to just roam around, right? And this is my innate chart. So my Saturn is in my 8th house. So for me this year, I'm very focused on teamwork, camaraderie, working with others, just making sure that I do a lot of work on myself, so that way I can reap the benefits. I be disciplined on myself, so that way, I can receive the things that I need to receive in order to go to the next level within my journey. Well, like I said before, I've noticed that there have been men in our communities who have been leading other men. And the issue with this is, in the industry, oftentimes they promote men that come from these broken homes that may not have both aspects of or dynamics to where they learn how to be in harmony with the woman and be in harmony with their masculine self. So what happens is as we're seeing these things, we are oftentimes imitating what we see. And they're put into our face for a reason. They're put into our face so that way we are not able to, if we're raised in that type of space, you're not able to externally see what it is that would create a harmonious male, or people call it alpha males, but alpha males don't lead with their ego. It's a whole nother concept versus what we've been taught, versus what it actually is, okay? And even for women, if women have been raised in a space to where they were raised by their father, I've noticed during my dating experiences that those type of women, they don't know how to nurture, you know what I mean? They don't know how to tap into their feelings for real. Like, if we're just, intimate, it's like we're just sharing an intimate space and then that's it. There is no emotion involved. It's like we having a good time and that is what it is. Like, there's no depth with that. And the women that I've noticed that are raised by their mothers, when I would be intimate with them or just be around them, because they never really seen a man in their life, they don't know how to treat a man. They don't know how to support a man. They don't know how to build him up. They don't know how to, they want to have control over the situations because they've never seen it in a proper way. So how are these affecting our subconscious? So oftentimes, because of our family dynamics, we navigate through life on autopilot, thinking that we know what we're talking about, we know what we're doing, and in fact, it's dysfunctional. This is why we're having an issue right now with all these debates talking about men versus women. They're not coming from people that came from a harmonious household, I can tell you that for sure. They're coming from people who come from broken homes, and they've never seen the dynamics of the two harmonize without it being traumatic, without it being some expression of arguing, without it being some expression of, infidelity, or like not being able to communicate properly, abuse, all of these things. So it's important that we look at ourselves in the mirror, be truthful with ourselves. Okay, cool. If you know that you were raised in a dynamic to where, as a man, you might have been raised with your mother, yeah, you might have had your father around, but you know, you may not have seen it to where your father loving on your mother. So now subconsciously you treat a lot of women like, you know, I can't really, this is my version of loving you, like loving you how I want to. And it's like, it be little things like, you know, I was brought up to when I'm in the grocery store, like my mom, she don't have to push the cart. She don't have to pick up the groceries and things like that. Like, I'm naturally gonna do these things for her. I want her to be in her feminine nature. You know what I mean? That's just how I came up. I'm opening doors for her. Like, it's a chivalry aspect to it, right? And then I've noticed that it be some men, it doesn't matter how much knowledge they have or intellect, it's not embodied oftentimes. And so their woman would be pushing the car. Their woman would be carrying all the bags. Like they like to be taken care of because they've seen their mother take care of them for so long that they're expecting their partner to do the exact same. Now, I'm not saying it's one size fit all. That's not the truth because, you know, just the same as there are men, women, they're like different sexes. There's male, there's people like you know, there's people that, for example, you got men that like women, women that like men that like men, women that like women, and then men and women that like both, right? So there's like 5 different type of combinations of sex in a sense. And so that means that there's not necessarily one size fits all. However, within all of those components and different sexes, there's still a way to bridge the gap to where it's harmonious. Because even in a situation where it's a man and a man, one man's gonna probably be more feminine than the other man. You know what I mean? One man's gonna be more masculine than the other man. So that dynamic is still there. There's gonna be one woman and woman. One woman's gonna be masculine, one woman's gonna be more feminine. That dynamic is still there. So, you know, if you are playing in that role, whichever role it is, you know, it's best to be very observant in how that role typically works in the most harmonious way. Oftentimes though, you're just not gonna see that in the public eye or the industry or the mainstream media. And that's because the more families unite, then, you know, we can potentially create our own army. We could potentially take over however we want to. We can create our own nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are the reasons why our homes have been broken up systematically. And this is the reason why it's important that we take back our power. We love each other properly. We love ourselves enough properly to be able to communicate when we're not receiving the love that we need. To be able to communicate when things are being dysfunctional in a sense. And how do you even say that? How do you even speak that in a manner to where it's receptive to your partner, but at the same time, it's straight to the point. It's not like you're sugarcoating what it is that you need to be, what needs to be discussed, correct? So with that being said, I want everybody to think about their own personal situation. Not everybody grew up in a 2-parent household, and that's perfectly fine. That doesn't mean you can't be a great man. That doesn't mean you can't be a great woman. However, it just means that you might need to look at the other side of the spectrum a little bit closer, because there may not have been things that you've seen over time that help you to get a good picture of what truly is and what has to be done, right? So thank you all for tuning in to this episode of Neighborhood Niggas. I hope you all have a great rest of the day. And yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. More videos on the way. Peace.